welcome, 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 welcome. Thanks for jumping in. We are here tonight. We're going to be discussing an amazing topic. I hope y'all are ready. Is there something holding men back? Folks on here that help us have discussion. It's going to be amazing. We are here tonight. It's going to be controversial. Don't nobody get mad. Don't nobody try to but these are perspectives that we have some hope men from entrepreneurship. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring forward our guest. First off, we're going to have Woody. Come on, he's going to come out with his theme song, talk about why he chose that song and a little bit about himself. Woody, go for it. Can you hear me, Woody? All right. Woody, can you hear me, sir? All right. Maybe not. Lee, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right. Lee, go for it.
You ready? Let's go. Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lee Morin, originally from Pennsylvania, operating out of Stafford, Virginia. I'm an entrepreneur, owner of All About One Photography, as well as All About One Consulting and Leadership Training. You know, I chose that because basically I just want the message that I have to be heard. I'm trying to make leaders better. I'm trying to take individuals to the next level. So we specialize in growing leaders as well as organizations through coaching and training. So give us a holler if you're trying to get to the next level.
Woo, appreciate you, appreciate you. All right. Tamar, my brother, are you ready? Intro.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that song right there was the OJ's For the Love of Money. I love that song because it's when I think of what, first of all, just the instruments in it and everything. And when I think about it, I just think about networking and coming together with people. So my name is Tamar O'Neal. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. And I started a movement called JFK, Join Forces with Kings, which is also a soon-to-be clothing line. But pretty much what we are is just, linking up with people that help you achieve your goals and do better. You have the vision, and I have the resources. Let's put them together to see what we can create to be, better versions of ourselves and create legacies for our families and our children. So.
Excellent, excellent. Appreciate you. All right, Woody, are you ready, my man?
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you now, clear and loud.
Perfect. All right, well, here it goes.
All right.
All right, y'all. I'm Woody Martin. I actually own several businesses. Photos by W, do photography, Host Town USA, web hosting, US based, US customer service, Black owned, and also WJ ENT Group, where we handle all the marketing aspects of it. And they're all intertwined to where we're one-stop shop. But the reason why I chose the Young Jeezy song, Win Win, is we try to put our clients in a position to where they win. And that's one of the biggest things that we want to focus on, is making sure that we put ourselves in a position to win as well as our clients.
All right, excellent. And just for y'all sake, Woody Host Town USA, he has a pretty dope business where he hosts websites, very economical. So if you all are looking for a hosting service, definitely contact Woody at Host Town USA. He's the man. The like I said, the services is amazing. You get a lot of bang for your buck. So yeah, hit him up. All right. And so let us jump into the conversation. Question is there something holding men back from becoming entrepreneurs? Is there something holding men back from becoming entrepreneurs? Now, if you look in the group, if you followed the conversation, we definitely had some interesting perspectives. We had a few people say there is nothing holding men back. About 4 people chose that option. And then we had some other folks, we had about 15 people say, well, yeah, there's definitely something holding men back. Now, I'm going to level set this and frame this. You know, everybody has a different perspective. Everybody comes from a different background, and there's a perception. So for me, I'm standing on the premise, one, that is true, that men, namely African American men, are not launching or starting businesses. So that's my premise, that they're not starting it as a whole. And two, definitely in comparison to African American women, and then also other cultures, that as a whole, off the premise that Black men, African American men, are not launching out. So, would you all agree or disagree with that premise?
I personally think there is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tamar, Lee, would you agree with that premise?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So I want to give a couple definitions just to kind of put this out there when we talk about entrepreneurship, because I think this will really help level set things and get everybody on the same page. So the meaning of the word entrepreneur, little background. The word was first used in 1762. It's an English word meaning someone who starts a business and is willing to take a risk to make a profit. Entrepreneur. So then it's also a French word which means undertaking. Also related to another word called enterprise. Now, what is enterprise? Enterprising is a readiness to engage in daring or difficult action, initiative, a project or undertaking that is especially difficult, complicated, or risky. So, entrepreneur and enterprise are definitely related in those terms. So, going back to the question, is there something holding men back, specifically African American men, from entrepreneurship, being enterprising? Now, I'm gonna ask you, Tamar, to kind of go on this. I think this is interesting. So, in enterprise, it says a readiness to engage in daring or difficult action. Now, I think that's funny because when you look at, Black men, African American men, in terms of a readiness to engage in something daring or difficult, I think we are enterprising in that arena. What would you say?
I would definitely agree. I mean, when you say enterprising and engaging, I mean that all has to do with fear and risk. A lot of people they when it comes to fear, they are fearful of risking it all, to be successful. It's not just a fear of failing, but some people fear of being successful because they've never seen it before. You might see it on other people, but you don't know how that looks and feels on you. So you're scared to go chase it. You're scared to attempt it. And we're not pushed to that level in our community. When you speak about a Black man, we're not pushed to entrepreneurship, ownership. We're not pushed to that level. So I definitely agree with as far as engaging in it. Like, yeah, it is a risk factor and a fearful factor.
Right. Now, someone in the poll said that men in general, like, there's nothing holding men back. I didn't say specifically Black men, but just in general, that not wanting it bad enough, not being hungry enough to be an entrepreneur, to launch a business, to step outside and overcome that fear, that we don't want it bad enough. What are your thoughts on that, Lee? Not wanting it bad enough to start a business or entrepreneurship.
I would say as far as not wanting it, I mean, you have to look. You can't put everybody in the same boat. You can't say that all men, cannot do it because they don't want it. Certainly there's some individuals that entrepreneurship is just not something that they're interested in. They might just like having a 9 to 5 or a salary position or something like that. So I think that, it's all relevant to, because when we look at entrepreneurship, it takes a certain type of person, a certain type of attitude, and as far as having that hunger and that desire, I think that it's just not in everyone. And so, yes, it can hinder folks from doing that. However, I believe that if you don't have that hunger or desire, you're not necessarily going to be one who's in that entrepreneurial lane. You may be in the 9 to 5 or the salary, the other ones that I talked about.
Okay. So that brings up a point. People say, I just don't want to start a business. Now, when we talk about entrepreneurship and being enterprising, we're talking about, taking that risk, doing something that is dangerous or maybe, could cost you something, a high risk. So that's not just starting a business. What about the people who just have an idea? What do you think that's all about? Where they want it? And what do you think about that?
I personally think it's not just a lack of fear, but a lack of not knowing. Because if they think, well, I got to do this, do that, but they don't know the ins and outs of actually starting an actual company. So versus taking that initiative and actually going and doing the research and doing the footwork before jumping ship on the whole idea, they just let it go. So a lot of ideas may have a lot of chances of being successful, but not knowing what it would actually take, they just dump the whole idea as a whole.
Okay. So when you look at the landscape of, America, you see all these posts, women launching business, the boss babe craze, just the queens is killing it, the divas is doing it. Where are the men at? What is that? I mean, are we actually starting businesses and just quiet and not saying anything, or are we actually launching? I mean, let me hear from you because Woody, you're in Atlanta, which is much different from Omaha. So, what do you say to that? Are men launching there? Is it something different?
Men are launching it, but I think their readiness and being able to actually maintain it, say, with the Secretary of State, getting that EIN number and actually making it a business, people sometimes will take something that they're good at and turn it into a hobby, not necessarily make it legal, necessarily promote it, market it the way it should be so it can be considered a business. Even when you go to the IRS, they're looking at it as a hobby. If you were to put that money on your IRS, the income on your IRS, a tax refund, tax statement. But compared to the sisters, they tend to take that time, find out what they got to do legally. Most of them, I would say, find out what they have to do legally. Us, we got a truck, we go to Vistaprint, get a magnet, throw it on the truck. We got a business. We don't take the steps to actually become a business.
Right. All right. Tamar, speak on that. What are your thoughts about that? Okay, we got to hustle. We sell our t-shirts, magnets and, the bootleg DVDs. Why won't we, what do you think is holding us back from legalizing whatever the hustle is?
Well, I agree with what he said. I mean, just having that drive and that initiative. A lot of them don't do the research to actually go further and and produce what they want to produce. And I feel like women are naturally better networkers anyway. So they're gonna take the initiative to link up with other people. Like, hey, she had this going on. Let me see what she did. Let me do my own research to see how I can get mine going. And a lot of men don't do that. They have networking issues. I mean, you know, in some areas they have networking issues, you know, so a lot of it is networking. You know, if you're trying to build a successful business, you have to network. It's imperative you network with people.
Networking issues. Wow. Lee, you shaking your head. What you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, where when it comes to women, they're networking. And I also believe that women just have that natural nature of sharing with one another. And so one woman shares with another woman and, you know, oh, really, girl, I had that idea too, or something similar. I always wanted to start this. And so they start sharing ideas where us as men, we're not so much sharing. And I know that from personal experience, when we talk about how Woody talked about that legalizing the business, I know that as men, when we have an idea, we get excited and we have that energy and we just want to get going. Let me go out here and do this. Let me go out here and snap these pictures. Let me write this book. Let me do whatever I'm going to do. And so that legalizing things, one, I think there's a lack of knowing what the actual steps are, because sometimes it can be complicated. If you're in a state like Hawaii, you can go to Hawaii and get a business license for $20 and you up and running. Whereas if you're in Virginia or Omaha, it's a little bit more complicated, some more steps. And so I think that one, not knowing the process, plus also that process kind of slowing you down, it kind of takes away from your momentum a little bit. So it's like, I'm excited, I'm ready to go out here, hit the road, I'm ready to start, you know, getting my grind on, so to speak. But then I'm hindered, I'm slowed down because I don't know the steps, and I don't want to take the time to necessarily get educated. And then we go back to what Woody said. We're not sharing with one another, so we don't know how.
All right. So in terms of the question at hand, is there something holding us back? And I saw in one of the comments, it was ego. It was ego. So with that, from what I'm hearing, I mean, we're in the age of the internet. There is nothing unavailable to us information-wise. We can know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So saying we don't know, what's that all about? I mean, does that go back to you don't want it bad enough? Why don't you know?
I mean, that's true. You know, you don't want it bad enough, because I feel like if you got a dream, a vision, a business that you know is going to be successful and you got a passion for it, you're going to push it. And a part of it is ego. You know, like I said, women will naturally reach out to each other and help each other. But when it comes to men in certain aspects, men will not do that.
I agree.
All right. So what's the root of the issue on why? I hear a couple things. You know, one, ego. You know, we don't share information. Networking issues. What are we scared of? Why don't men talk to each other and get the 411 on how to get a business started, Woody?
I personally, and this is based on, you know, my experience with my clients, it's one, I don't have the time. Two, well, if this person shares this information with me, they're going to hold it over my head compared to the girls or women. They could be at the mall. Girl, he did this for me. Let me give you this vendor. Guys, we never share our vendors. You know, that's like trade secrets, if you will. You know, okay. And then one more thing that, as a family man, I know that affects us is fear of failure, to where if our family is counting on us, or if we're the main bread provider and we go and try to start a business and leave that 9 to 5 and we fail, it goes back to that fear. Now it's all on the woman to take care of house till you get that client base up, get that, 9 to 5 back, or whatever the case may be. So I the factor of fear for the family.
All right. So what about the single women, 3-4 kids, going to school and starting their business? Isn't there still that same amount of fear? Now you don't even, you know what I'm saying? What is our fear different?
But even when you're saying that, Tim, saying when you say a woman, like single mother, all these kids going to school and everything, that's their drive, because they feel like, I got them looking at me, I got to do it, because that's a woman's natural entity to be a survivor.
And men don't? We don't have no survival instincts.
Yeah, we do, but we don't have kids. We don't bear children. So you see a lot of instances to where, you know, a man can walk out on a woman and a woman still have that child. So she has no choice, but she has to get up and go get it. You know, versus in some situations, a man can walk away and go start a whole new family. So when it comes to, you know, that drive, you know, I feel like sometimes they have a whole different drive. They have a whole different drive than me, and it's not all men, you know, because I feel like if you know that you're gonna be successful in your vision, your goal, your business, you're gonna push it, you know. So I don't. And what you said earlier about there's nothing that you can't get information on on the internet, you know. So a lot of it is just taking an initiative and the time to discipline yourself to get the knowledge on it and come up to a whole nother level in achieving it.
So kind of going back to not wanting it bad enough.
Yeah. In certain aspects, yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Woody?
Well, I agree with him, but in addition to that, I also think it's also a lack of support.
Yeah.
Because I've been on both sides of it, to where I've been with a woman where my business at the time was just getting up off the ground, and we all know not every business is successful overnight. And so I was with a woman who, quit the company, it's not going to do well. You're losing money. You're in the red 2 consecutive years in a row, blah, blah, blah. And needless to say, we're not together. And then now, you know, I've been with my lady now. We've been for 3 years. Mm-hmm. Since day one, she's been that supportive woman. So now it's like, hey, babe, what if you do it this way? She's offering suggestions. So now I'm feeling more motivated. It's okay. Well, let me see if she was right. You know, so that support is key.
Definitely.
Okay. Tamar, I know you like, heck yeah. I already see you, bro.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that. Support is crucial, you know, because I mean, when you got that support from, you know, a strong woman, like it'll take a man beyond what he imagined he can go. You know, so I definitely agree and understand when he's talking about that support of a woman. Like, yeah, it's essential.
So, the crucial role of a helpmeet, basically.
Not necessarily a help me, I would say, more of an encourage me. Because if outside of your drive, to have somebody else that wants that drive and that success for you, not necessarily saying they have to hold your hand through the process, but saying, hey, if you need me, I am here, but I believe in you. So I want you to go out and get it.
So why can't we get that from other men?
You know what? Here's what I'm gonna say about this. I think that I don't want to necessarily put that onus on my wife or whoever I happen to be with at the time, that they're responsible for encouraging me. What I will say is that it goes back to what we've talked about the resources being out there and us as far as our networking and who we beginning with, who we decide to associate with. So if we're with that individual, if we're with our significant other, or if we're around our friends or our network and they do not have that mindset of encouragement or trying to be better, then that's when we need to cut those ties right then.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to put that on anybody that I'm with or on my spouse or significant other, because I have that decision to make as a man of who I want to network with. And it starts with who I want to be in my house. I want somebody in my house that encourages me. I want somebody in my network that is encouraging me. And when I believe that we all have a responsibility, that when we notice that our network is not necessarily where it should be or where we want it to be, then we have an obligation to change it, to cut those people off. Those folks that are out there that not trying to do anything with their lives. Well, you know what? We can't hang out with them this weekend because there's a seminar we need to get to so that we can get educated and we can take those steps and that we can be better for ourselves.
All right. I'm going to put something out there. And so how many, just kind of, you know, Woody, then Lee, and then Tamar, in terms of support, information, and knowledge, how much have you spent money have you spent on personal development or coaching? Rough guess. over the years? Do you even spend any on personal development?
I couldn't put a dollar amount, to be honest with you, but I know I would say it's very important, and I've put a good bit of money into it, especially to be able to learn new things. Because at the end of the day, I never call myself to know everything in the field. You know, especially with me being in 3 different fields that still tie into each other, but it's still different aspects.
Okay. Just throw I know I'm in the business, but throw a number out there. I'm in the business. Yeah. I mean, because we need to, there's men out here that are scared to spend money to invest in knowledge. It's like, man, I don't need nobody telling me that. I don't want, they're not trying to pay for what they feel like they can learn on their own, but then they never learn it. Whereas women, I know, like if you look at coaching programs, personally, they are all in those programs getting self-help, personal development, spending thousands. What it takes to be successful. Put a dollar amount on it. Just throw it out there.
Oof.
Be random.
Well, see, me, I would say anywhere as far as coaching, as far as tutorials, classes, I can easily spend a good $300 to $400 a quarter, easy. But a lot of it is really video based, or one-on-one courses like that, where I can actually log in and speak to somebody, even if I'm not physically there with them.
Okay. All right. Lee, what about you?
I can tell you in the last 6 months, I've spent $6,000. And that's based on me knowing what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I wanted to be a coach, and I wanted to be a trainer. So I went out, I got John Maxwell training, spent a couple $1,000s on that. I spent money flying down, spending a couple days down there to get training. Then I bought into the mentorship program so that I have access to people 24/7. As far as coaches, I was on the verge of purchasing or investing in a coach, but I have an accountability group that meets on Friday, and those 2 people are coaches, so we coach each other. But definitely, I see the value in putting money into my right. And you know what? I learned a long time ago. I believe it was what's his name? Tony Robbins said that at least once a year that you should go on some type of retreat. You should go on some type of self-improvement and invest back into yourself. But like you said, Tim, I mean, man, it's like we don't really want to put money into ourselves, and we don't want to go to these conferences, but that's exactly what these women are doing.
Yeah. Tamar, speak on it. What you spend?
I would say roughly year to date, maybe about 600. Looking to spend more, because I mean, a lot of times, sometimes you're not paying. It might be just you linking up with somebody that you value their opinion, their support. So it's like, hey man, let me take you to lunch. Let me pick your brain about something. But I definitely feel like as men, we do need to invest more, because like Lee said, these women will spend their last dollar to go get that information, because they know once they get the information, they're gonna take it and run with it.
Right.
Definitely. I mean, you can't be afraid to invest in yourself. And when you said self-improvement, it also goes to like, you can. It's easy to read. It's easy to look up information. So. I mean, but you definitely, it's essential. You have to invest in yourself, because what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. Just like a savings account. If you don't save no money, you have no money saved up.
Right. So here are the top reasons that I have from the group that stops men from going. Fear, lack of support, the circle of friends, lack of information and knowledge, uncomfortable with big changes, thinking that you don't know or aren't ready, a fear of criticism, low risk tolerance, ego, child support, finances, lack of long-term vision, and financial obligations, basically. Does any one of those really
Hey
jump
Tim, can I
at
say
you?
something?
And sure, go ahead.
Man, I've been listening to the conversation and what you just said, but I think also too one of the big factors is scared of failure, just scared to just go out there. That's what I find is a big issue
Right.
because some of the
So,
things you mentioned, like child support, you do what you got to do. So if you got to work 3 or 4 jobs, you doing the same thing. So why don't you just do that for your?
right. I thought about risk tolerance. Look at that, how many men will go sell drugs. I mean, will do that in a heartbeat. So in terms of being enterprising and taking risks and having being afraid to lose it all, what do you think about that? Would rather go sell drugs or some other illegal endeavor instead of starting a legal business, which still requires risk. What are your thoughts on that, Tamar?
Well, really, I mean, when you address it like that, the risk factor, it's a short term, it's a quick dollar, versus starting a business. You're not seeing 100,000 immediately, So, I mean, but what they failing to realize is the money is so high because the risk is so high. So I feel like if you're gonna take any type of risk, why not take that risk to investing in yourself long term to where you don't got to worry about losing it all.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, I've been down both roads, you know what I'm saying? So now just having a different outlook and a different perspective, like if I'm going to risk anything, I'm a risk, starting the business and everything and starting, to believe in myself and believe in the vision, so that way I will have a long-term plan, versus going the other direction,
Right. I'm gonna ask you one more question: is what, and I think that's crucial in terms of being able to start a business, and that's perception. How did you get to the point where you started believing in yourself and in what you had on the inside, your vision? What was that process like? Because I know a lot of Black men just flat out, our perception is we cannot start a business or be successful. It's for white men, it's for Black women, it's for white, it's for everybody else. But for us, it's just not possible. We don't see that as being even an option.
But that's even a thing right there is mindset. You got to be able to have the mindset to do it. So me myself, I mean, just continuing with if you got a vision, a goal, a dream, you're gonna continue to you're gonna believe. You're gonna look at it. You're gonna see what can I do to achieve this. Like what can I do to put myself over this top of this barrier. You definitely have to set goals on a daily basis to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So. What you're saying, everybody thinks it's for everybody else, but why not you? Why can't you have the same thing that they have? Because some of them people are in the same position you in now. They just buckle down and believe in themselves and get it going. Like, it's like Walter was saying, like that fear. When you get rid of that fear, you're going, you can fly. Once you get rid of that fear, and believing in yourself and what you are trying to do, I mean, the sky is the limit.
Right. So kind of back to the question then, is there something holding us back? Would you say, is it more external or internal, Woody, that's holding us back? Are we on?
Yeah. Just me that question, Woody.
Did you hear that question? Is whatever is holding us back, is it external or internal? Woody?
I would say it's internal. And the reason being is because, especially as Black men, we don't like asking for help. We're very prideful. And we think we can do it by ourselves. I mean, let's be honest.
Take a vote. Is he right? Raise your hand. Take a vote. Raise your hand. Is he right? We don't like ask for help. You think we can do it on our own?
Response, it kind of broke.
Okay. No, I said, you didn't hear me or you didn't hear Woody?
Can't hear Woody
Walter.
the first he says. I don't want to raise my hand if I don't know what he said.
Oh,
Now saying that it's an internal issue that we don't like to ask for help. We're very prideful and we think we can always do everything on our own without that help.
would you agree, Walter? Raise your hand. So you disagree. You don't know who you are.
I think technical difficulty.
Oh, okay. Walter needs to get off his dial-up. All right. So what do you think
I thought he had the high speed
can be
internet.
done?
Now,
Yeah,
what you tell
Brian, you need to take. Yeah, we need you to rectify that. Ask for help.
I mean, that's why I said I would say yes or no to that, because it goes back to your experience. I mean, if you had some experience where you've been kind of taught and you saw if you asked, it kind of helped you. But then if you didn't have the experience of asking, then no, then you wouldn't ask. I mean, I think sometimes it boils back down to your experience that you've had.
So you saying some experiences will cause you to ask because they've been positive?
Yeah, but they've been positive. And I would say correctly. Some experience being positive, you will ask. And then some experiences where it's been negative, then you're not going to ask.
Okay, that's good. So basically, we might have asked, got our feelings hurt, got rejected, somebody said no, somebody lied, all the above, played us. We believed they could help us, and then they were raggedy. So now we just forget it. I ain't gonna ask nobody.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, because you get a lot of people that play bigger than what they are. I mean, I experienced that personally as I started to want to get into talking and speaking, and I started talking to friends that, oh, I work for the YMCA or I work at the Boys and Girls Club, and then I would say, hey, this is what.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick story. A partner of mine, we both worked at Mutual. We had this cat who said, man, I'm about to leave Mutual and I'm going down to get this big time role at Disney World. I'm gonna put y'all on. I need to hire my own staff of programmers. Each of y'all, I'm gonna have y'all starting out like 6 figures plus. I'm gonna get down there, I'm gonna get set up. Needless to say, he lied. We was waiting months thinking that we was about to get put on. And this cat was down there, communicating back and forth from a Gmail, talking about he worked for Disney World. And so, man, that was painful. I mean, my guy had his wife on edge, like, yeah, babe, dude about to put us on. We about to move down here, because she was ready to leave Omaha. Like, they almost had their bags packed because this dude was like, I'm the man. He went ghost and we ain't heard another word from him. So the point to that is we don't deal with rejection too well. I mean, if we shut down like that because of that, how do we get better at dealing with rejection? Lee.
Oh, that's simple. Rejection is part of life. And so you get rejected, you fall down, you get back up, and you keep pushing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because just like that incident that you mentioned, somebody rolled down there and said, hey, we're going to put you on, and you sitting around waiting. Well, you know what? You can't wait for that. You got to keep grinding and keep doing what you need to do to take care of you, because in this world, as we think about it, nobody's going to look out for you. You really out there on your own. You got a network around you. Hopefully you got the right people around you. You got the right person in your house, like we talked about, that's supporting you. And then you develop your network. I think I like it best how Tamar talked about, you know what? It costs what, $20 to ask somebody to lunch. That's investing in yourself. You see somebody doing something that you're interested in. Hey, partner, how about we go over to Panera Bread? Let's go have lunch. Pick their brain a little bit. That's simple.
You're right. You're right. What do you think, Woody? What do you think we can do to get over the rejection?
Be honest with you, I think I just to piggyback off of what Lee said is if you we'll say a door-to-door salesman, you can not get rejected and then sit down and cry about it and get 100% of zero, or move on to the next door where there's a chance where you can get maybe 60% of 100. You know, why cry over spilled milk? I tell my son that every time. Just because you can't get what you want here, let's go somewhere else, see if we can get it what we want somewhere else. You know, the world doesn't end on the first try.
I agree.
Okay. So, Walter, you said this, and you said that with a lot of passion. That whole, well, it didn't work the first time I asked, and so I'm just going to kind of do it on my own. Can you elaborate more on that? So, how are you rolling forward then? You know, even as you as an entrepreneur, kind of having that perspective.
Well, I mean, what I'm doing is that just kind of like Lee and Woody said. I mean, I'm asking, I might invest, take you to lunch, and I still don't get the answers and things that I want. So what I do is just I continue to get myself to be ready as far as I can go and have myself ready. And so when I do meet that person that's willing to help me, that wants to help me, or has the care to take me to the next level, I've done everything I need to do so I can just jump on quickly and just keep knocking on that door. You know, don't get disappointed. Just chalk it up and go, you know what? This person really wasn't ready. This person wasn't the person I thought they were. But at least I'm still building my stuff and got myself to where I need to be. So I'm not falling off the cliff. It's just what I always put on the shelf. I always put it on the shelf and have it polished and ready. So when I do meet that person, all I do is put on, because I've already continued to do that because I've been disappointed.
All right.
You know, I like that. If I could talk about that for a second, I like what Walter said about being ready, because we have to keep practicing, keep up on our trade, because when it's time to be put in the game, we might not be in the game right now, but when we finally get that opportunity, when we get in that game, we're going to hit home runs and grand slams. We're not just going to say, I don't know, I can't, I don't know what to do. No, but you got to be ready.
Okay. What do you say? You
Ready, have it polished.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that, because from a photography aspect of it, if it's a slow month, I'm gonna find something to shoot, and I'm gonna look at a different technique on how to recreate. I may see an image. Okay, there's 2 light setups, and he used whatever reflector. I'm gonna go home and recreate that. Or if it's a slow month for weddings, and I want to pick up more weddings, I'll go to Wish and, like y'all said, spend maybe $20 or something like that, buy a wedding dress and recreate a wedding. So now when that bride sees that, oh, wow, that's real nice. But I know how to capture that wedding dress shot or that shot of a bride, even though I may not have had an actual bride to try it on prior to me just trying it on with a friend. My son, he won't get in front of the camera anymore because I practice and hone so much.
Right. That's powerful, bro. That's good. Being ready, being polished. So how many of you are actually have somebody that you're actually looking to mentor? Like, is there somebody that you at this point you peeped them out, a male that you feel like you can pour into? Is there anybody around you that you've seen? Me.
You know, I would say that currently, just because we just relocated, but there was this young man that I met the other day, and so I definitely can see me mentoring him, young Black man that just has some motivation, some desire, and basically just wants to be better for himself, for his family. So I'm always looking for situations as I engage with my friends of, you know, hey, what do y'all have going on as far as reaching out to the schools and stuff like that. I'm involved in the NAACP here as well, and always looking for community outreach to see individuals and be there as far as answering those questions that they need, especially seeing somebody that's hungry, because the last thing you want is you want to see a hungry kid or a hungry youngster just fall to the side because people don't push them down.
Mhm. Good. What about you, Woody? Is there anybody that you're pouring into now currently?
I have two. The two that I have that they come by once a month, so we kind of make it a whole day of the whole situation to where I don't try to charge them. A lot of mentors out here want to charge just even on the photography aspect. So I tell them, hey, look, I'll teach you everything that I don't know, and what I don't know, we're gonna figure out who knows it, and we're gonna get together and make it work. But the only thing I do ask them in return is, one, pay it forward. Two, assist me on one of the events so they can get that hands-on, feel, hey, what it's like to be at a wedding, or hey, what it's like to build somebody's website, or hey, deliver flyers to them for whatever event or business that they have, to see that look on that person's face, like, wow, this is my new business. So now they have some type of, hey, I need to start my business. I want that same feeling. And
Right.
so I have two now. One is a black male. He's from Saudi Arabia, believe it or not.
Okay, that's good. What about Bowtie? Anybody you pouring into? They might be spinning. Tamar, anybody that you pouring into? Any freshman class that you grabbing hold of?
Absolutely. I mean, first, I do have a son. I have nephews. So it starts there. You gotta, they looking at you as their father, as their uncle. They looking at you and what you're doing with your life, and not just them. Other young men that they go to school with. Telling them about your past experiences. That they don't have to take the road that you take because you've been there. You can tell them, this ain't the road to take. So as you constantly making, business moving, connections and networking, you pour that back down to them. Send the elevator back down.
Send the elevator back down. I like that. That's good. Okay. So, kind of circling back around, we're going to wrap this up here in probably the next 5 minutes. Just looking at the group that I have, when I look at comments, people who support, people who chime in, what do you feel about online, just Facebook groups? Do you see that as a good opportunity to network? How do you feel on that? Okay. How often would you say you actually post in a group, Tamar? Post, comment, connect with other men online?
Online, well, I would say I need to actually, I'm starting to do more because I haven't really, at first I wasn't a social media person. But realizing now that social media is the strongest tool of advertising, the strongest tool of networking, you have to have that, so even just this moment, I'm very appreciative to be on this show and, just express my thoughts and feelings, so, I appreciate you having me. So I definitely feel like, it's a lot helpful and I would love to do more of it.
Absolutely. What about you, Walt? How much do you spend online networking? Groups, Facebook, Instagram. How much time do you spend? And Walter's dial up on how to get.
I'm here.
Can you respond, please, sir?
Are you asking for me?
Yeah. You need a new mic,
Okay.
bro.
I need a new mic. What's wrong with my mic? Can you hear me?
No.
All right, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
You hear me? Well, quick. You hear me, Mr. Funny Man.
So, how much time do you spend online networking with other men?
Probably not as much as I should, because I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. A lot of us are not finding those circles and we're not finding those arenas, and so we're not doing that. I mean, this platform right here, I think, is a great platform for us to start doing that. I think the great thing for us to be able to, we all invite somebody every single week, and then ask that person to invite somebody, because I think we want to do it, but nobody's really taking an initiative to do it. Because even though you use social media, you don't know, you might connect and say happy birthday to somebody, so what you're saying, but we're actually having true dialogue. and talking about, you know, how we can help each other. I mean, and then just hearing what people are doing.
Right. What's your thoughts, Woody?
Mhm.
You know, I agree.
I'm a junkie. Oh, you said Lee or Woody?
Woody?
Oh, my bad.
Oh, okay. I'm a social media junkie, man.
Now. No, I'm playing.
I'm a social media junkie. I'm all about the networking groups. I think I'm in a good 25, 30 groups, and I try to post at least once a week in majority of them, because like I've never claimed to be that person that knows everything. So I'm all about like, hey, how'd you do this? You know, what was your setup? Or hey, what type of coding are you using on this? Or do you have a preferred vendor that you want to go through that can maybe meet my particular client's needs that, you know, that may be beneficial to me? So social media is a major aspect on my business.
And so would you say how much would you say that's attributed to your success then? How would you rank it?
For sure, hands down.
Hands down?
Not
More
just
than half?
I would say a good 40 to 60% of my business comes from social media. And then the rest would be based on referrals.
That's good. Lee, what about you?
I'm on social media a lot, trying to develop my brand. I would say I'm trying to be on there more as far as engaging in conversations with folks, other Black men. I'd say it's kind of it's hit and miss. It's, you know, I think right now what I'm trying to do is network with people that are getting things done. For example, I went to a networking event a couple of weeks ago, and I met a Black male and a Black female, and I sat down at separate times with both of them just to pick their brain. So, you know, for me, it's about who's out there winning the game that I'm trying to win also.
I like that. Say that one more time. I have to write that down.
Who's trying to win the game that I'm trying to win also.
It is cold here.
That's good. That's good.
Well, to piggyback off real quick what Lee was saying, the issue that we run into that sometimes we can't even do that as Black brothers and sisters is that we find ourselves, oh, I can't tell you that because you might outwin me. But there's so much money out there that we rather handicap each other than actually win in that same race.
Right.
Wow. So how do we fix that? How do we work on that, Tamar? What's our first step? What can we do? Even as you know, us five, you know, right here, what can we do to help correct the perception that we cannot trust each other and even lend a hand?
Well, just overall in general, I mean, it's all a risk factor. Anything that, you know, you indulge in is going to be risk. I mean, you just have to be able to, you know, whatever don't work out, okay, keep moving. For every 20 no that you have, is going to be a yes, you know, but you have to take the initiative to be like, you know, to start networking with other people, like, you know, to get things done, picking people's brain and joining networking groups or whatever you got to do to expand yourself, to put yourself on the market. You got to muscle your way in, you know, so we definitely have to, you know, do better at networking as men, you know.
Muscle your way in. All I saw was a cat, like, boom, you know, Debo, and, you know, just, I know y'all don't want me in this circle, but I'm a Debo and I'm going to get in and, you know, what they say, get in where I fit in.
Right. You're gonna know my name.
Exactly.
Right. I love it, you know. So that's that entrepreneurial spirit that I'm talking about. So that's not just, you know, I'm going to start a business. That's just meaning, like I was saying, in the definition of being enterprising. Like, I'm just about to be enterprising. I'm going to get in here, I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to make it happen. And if I fall, I'm going to dust myself off and get back up again.
Absolutely.
Back up again.
You know what, Tim, if I could add something real quick, you know what, I think that also what helps me is having an accountability partner. Just that one other person that I can go and share with, you know, periodically. Hey, brother, what you doing? Okay, cool. I'm doing this. Just that, it's just like going to the gym. I think I said this before, you can't go to the gym all the time by yourself. Those days that you're struggling, you need somebody there. So I think maybe the first step is this, rather than saying, okay, I need this big network. Let me just start with one brother. Because I know, Tim, there's a couple times I've called you and said, hey, brother, what you got on? What you got going on? Because I know for me, I've been feeling a little bit down. But if I hear what you got going on, then that's going to uplift me and say, all right, man, you know what? Because I know in the conversation somewhere, you're going to be like, hey, Lee, what you got going on? And I'm like, oh, man, I got to bring something to the table.
Right.
That's good. So on this call, Woody, you have an accountability partner or someone you always kind of like one cat that you bounce things off of?
I actually have two. The funny thing is, when it came to photography, and I use that because I see them more, I had a person who mentored me, in a sense, helped me become a better photographer. And then when I had questions or wanted to try the technique, at the time, he had a bigger space than I did. He's like, all right, man, come on, let's find somebody to shoot, and then we can make it happen. And then we had a second person come in. And so now we hold each other accountable, help each other, mentor each other. And what's funny is that we're all from 3 different walks of faith, different walks of life, but we hold each other accountable when it comes to editing, when it comes to even family life. Somebody may say, hey, do you think I was wrong? Which usually means we were wrong. But do you think I was wrong if I did this? Well, maybe you could approach it this way when it comes to client and personal life. So I actually have 2 that I see and speak to on a daily basis.
Good. What about you, Bowtie? You have an accountability partner, someone you just kind of check in with? And Bowtie. Bowtie.
Oh, I can't hear you, man. I see your lips moving, but you're not saying nothing. Yeah, I have several people that I check in with. I got several friends that I try to check in with and try to be accountable to help me, continue to move forward.
Okay, good deal. Tamar?
Yeah, I have one. That I think.
What's her name? No, I'm playing, bro.
Okay, in that sense, it'd be 2 there, but yeah, I do have, a couple that, like, it's like, hey, get in the driver's seat, what I'm saying? Skip first, second gear, like, put the pedal to it, what I'm saying? Drive it and keep it going, so, but I definitely feel like you could never have enough accountability partners.
Good.
Agreed.
Excellent. All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you. 7:15. We've been on here exactly an hour. Any last thoughts, words from the panel that you want to just drop? Seeds of knowledge, encouragement to somebody out there who's struggling in their mind, trying to just, man, I don't know what to do, how to get started. What would you say, Lee?
I would say to prepare so that you're ready. And that fear is going to be there no matter what. Just take that first step. The first step will lead to the next step.
Good. Tamar.
Just keep at it. If you continue to, believe in it, continue to put the faith in it, it's going to happen. You are what you make it. If you want it to happen, move on it. I definitely salute you, brothers, in this conversation. It was a pleasure conversating with y'all. Tim, I greatly appreciate the invite, and to y'all, keep hustling, keep grinding, and put that vision, that dream to a whole nother level.
That's good. Bowtie.
I like to say I piggyback on what everybody's saying, but one thing I want to point out to the group that kind of helped me head to the next level. One of my mentors said to me was that, Walter, success doesn't always mean money. And I think that's something that we always contribute back to. If I'm not successful because I don't have the dollars to follow it. And that's not always the case. And when I kind of heard that, that made me just take a step back and look at some of the other things where I was successful and knew that I just needed to continue to build. And then also just to know that Rome wasn't built overnight. Rome, took a long time to build, and so you just got to continue to keep climbing and grinding.
Excellent. I like that. Woody.
I would say ask for help. There's no shame in saying, help me. Help me. You don't even have to do it for me, but point me in the right direction.
That's good.
Then if you really have that drive, like you say you do, if you're given the direction, now it's up to you to make that step. So ask for help.
That's good. All right. Well, that concludes our panel, gentlemen. Appreciate you. Hope this don't be the last time. Love to get back together again with you in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but definitely. If you know some other cats who would love to jump in and have some conversation, let's get connected. Let's kind of build this platform. Let's make it grow. Let's be a movement. Let's be a movement. Joint. What do you call it? JFK.
Yeah, join forces with kings.
That's
There
it.
it is.
Yeah. I like that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you all have an amazing evening. We about to sign off. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And I'm about to end with my little clip.